we're tired.
Yeah, we're really tired. It is midnight, or actually 8 minutes beyond at midnight. Welcome to the Straight Red Card. Make sure you like, subscribe, share it with your grandma. So we just had the big game. That's the kickoff, the starting game. El Salvador versus the United States at El Salvador. And, it ended as a tie, 0-0. And just general thoughts. My first thought was, what a kind of mess that was. Like there was a lot of disconnect, Brett, between lines, a lot of disconnect, a lot of that almost could have been good. Oh, that almost could have worked. Oh, that was one pass away from doing something. And it just didn't. Yeah, we got CONCACAF tonight.
It was a sloppy game across the board. Not really better for either team. You mentioned the disconnect, and that's a great way of wording it. The players, for whatever reason, just did not seem to be on the same page. There was poor passing, poor decision making. Just maybe they're trying too much. There's several times where players are trying to dribble 2-3 players when making the simple pass, or sometimes just getting rid of the ball, especially in our defensive third, would have been the better option. And there just seemed to be no off-the-ball movement. We were much more reacting to what people were doing rather than predicting ahead of time, making that run or whatever. Because, later, I'm jumping ahead here, but later on when the ball's being, whether it's Sargent or Peacock, it doesn't really matter. But that ball's lobbed up, they're going up for a slip header because that's all you can do when that ball's up in the air. Right. Nobody's making that run behind him. You hit that, and the ball he gets a slip, and then we're making the run. And at that point, we're it's too much. It's too much at that point.
So, yeah, it didn't ever seem like there was a point in the game where we just said, you know what? Let's just settle down. Let's play some possession for a little while. See if we can't break things down. Like we went 100% balls out of the fucking sack the whole time, trying to score. It was always go time. And that's fine. I mean, in many ways, you kind of like that kind of energy, but at the same time, it was nervous. And it seemed like nervous energy sometimes. Yeah.
So I think, in all honesty, that balls to the wall mentality that you had brought up led to a lot of our poor passing, our poor decision making, because they're gunning for it and they're moving around real fast, and all of a sudden they don't have the clean passing lanes they once had. If they were to just slow it down, beat one man, look for your options.
Yeah, I mean, we never got to the point where the ball was just down at their end forever and they couldn't get it and they couldn't dispossess us and they couldn't move the ball, and we were tiring the fuck out of them because they were running all over the field trying to cover this wing or that middle and that wing. It was just go time. And I'm not against that approach, but I think at some point in the game, maybe you might want to say, listen, this isn't necessarily this go thing ain't working. Let's chill. Let's possess the ball and just kick it a fucking around for a while and see if we can't stabilize and tire them out. And but I guess that wasn't the plan, because that's not what we ever did.
Well,
ever.
El Salvador came out and they pressured similar balls to the wall. They kept pressuring. We have enough talent on that field. Like when the roster was announced, I gave you a call immediately because I didn't feel like I wanted to send this in a text message, but we got a lot of stuff that we wanted. We got Aronson in the midfield starting next to McKinney and Adams. That's a solid midfield trio. Is that the best center? I would have probably preferred Reyna in there and Aronson up top, just because of the energy that Aronson brings in the attack, whereas Reyna's a little more methodical and trying to move around and slot the pass. He should be further back a little bit to make those slots. But we still got kind of what we wanted. And then Ream was included, and we're just like, whoa, what happened here?
That was weird.
That threw us for a loop. Nobody predicted that.
It makes more sense now after I thought about it. It's like, okay, yeah, who's the other veteran besides Brooks who can play left center back to hold down the fort and give Brooks a rest for a game, because he's going to play the next 2 games, I'm guessing.
Well, and
And
I brought up that you could put Robinson out left and bring McKenzie in, but I guess again, to your point, Brooks is going to come in for the next 2 games, probably play all 90 minutes both games. So Ream's probably not going to get another chance in there, and that means Robinson will have to vie for time with McKenzie and so forth, and Sands for that matter.
yeah, I think you stick with Robinson the whole way. He's young. He can play every game. He'll be fine. So you keep Robinson in regardless. And because I think like goalkeeper, that's not something you fuck around with game to game to game, although we've seen Berhalter do it. But this whole idea that we're bringing 6 center backs, so we're definitely playing 3 in the back or 5 in the back, if you want to look at it that way. No, didn't happen. And
none of us expected that to happen in this game. When I say none of us, I mean like you, me, and Filippo didn't predict that. We predicted the 4-3-3 that we played.
Yeah, all of us did predict that because I guess we just made a good assessment of what Greg would probably do. But a lot of people were saying, no, we're playing, a 3-4-3 all 3 games. I'm like, I don't think so. I really don't. That seems like a lot of experimentation at the last minute. So it didn't happen. But I have to say, I just thought some of the players tried too hard. And you saw guys like Dest and Reyna and others kind of lose the ball too much. Like they held on to it too long. They were trying to be Mr. Superman. And I think that's I don't mind the arrogance or the confidence to do that. Arrogance is a bad word. But I thought that kind of played into their hands too, because we're like, hey man, we're so good. We can just go through 3 players. And it happened. Sometimes Reyna did go through 3 players, but other times it did not. And same with Dest. I think he fiddly fucked around with the ball too. So I don't know. Again, it all led to what looked like a very disjointed, spazzy ass game.
So, and when Robinson came in for Dest, you noticed there was, I don't know if you noticed this, but I noticed that there was quite a bit more confidence on the left-hand side. Not saying that Dest can't play left back or he's not a good player by any means. Obviously, he's a good player. But maybe he's definitely just not suited to be a transitional wingback, and he simply just his bad performances at left back are starting to outweigh any good performances he may have had at any point.
Maybe he's a right winger.
Who would have thunk? and maybe instead of contemplating him as a defender, because quite frankly, as a wing back, his 1v1 defense is shoddy as shit. So maybe we need to contemplate on maybe having him up further up the field. I mean, if we're going to push Aronson or Reyna back, we're hurting on wing depth right now. Maybe we have Yedlin starting at right back again, throw Robinson at left back, and then all of a sudden you have an option to throw Dest into the attack, which is where he wants to be. He wants to be in and around that box.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be chilling back next to Ream by any means.
No, he doesn't. And in the first half, especially, you saw the effects of having having Dest and having Conrad and Aronson all jammed up on the left. Sometimes like they were just like 4 feet from each other as they moved up the field, and they were going to do some tiki-taka shit together. And I think it would have been better if they spread out a little. And that's the other thing about this whole game, spread out a little to create some space. In the second half, we finally saw a little bit of space, but we were so jam-packed, intent on playing this beep, 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 beep ball, sort of this ping pong ball, tiki-taka Barcelona stuff. That's fine. But what happens is the defense can compact in that area. Like whenever you saw the ball go out wide on the left or right, there were like 3 or 4 fucking Hondurans blocking the path.
El
Salvadorians. Excuse me. We got Honduras too. That's the third game. Yep. Anyhow, you could see it. They were not going to let us get in from out wide. Not going to happen. And so it didn't work because with Aronson pulled so far to the left, that really left only McKennie and Adams in the middle to play through the middle. And then even then, McKenzie was way up the field sometimes. And, Adams was left on an island. So it was just, it was disjointed. Like we said, it was disjointed.
It was a frustrating game to watch because again, and everybody keeps using the phrase on paper, off paper, on the field, we had more talent, but the talent just was not there, was not working together. Some of them didn't show up until like 2/3 the way through the game. It wasn't working, and that's the frustrating part. So you have some people out there like, oh, expecting it, coming out of this with the draw is a victory. It's a win. Getting a point on the road. Yes, it's nice to get a point on the road. This should have been a game that we should have. If we played to our potential, if we even played to a fraction of our potential, we should have won this game. We had our chances. We didn't put them away. But even then, the game was just disjointed. It was ugly. It wasn't working very well for us. So
yeah,
it's frustrating in the sense that I personally feel, and not saying everybody, but I personally feel that we should have came away with 3 points in this game. We came away with 1. Okay, we'll take the point on the road, but this would have been the game to win. In all honesty,
Clint, if this is the studio guys in CBS, Clint was okay with it with 1 point. Charlie was okay with it, but Gooch wasn't. Gooch is like, no, I don't care about. Yes, the paper means something. If you have players and you look at the paper, you look at our players and you look at their players. I don't care if we're playing on a goat patch, which we did not play on tonight. I don't care if there are how many fans are in the stands. This isn't their era. When Gooch and Dempsey and all those guys went and played in El Salvador, we had some talent, but it wasn't like this. This is world fucking class talent, or it's getting up there. I mean, you've got players like McKenzie and Adams and Reyna and, and Sargent, who's at Norwich now. That's not like he's playing for some small little, putty team or something. We got some good players. We needed the 3 because think about it. You think Mexico's going to go and get 3 in El Salvador? I bet you they do. I bet you Canada might even do it too. Jamaica could probably do it. Honduras could probably do it. All right, now that's 4 teams that could do it. Get 3 from El Salvador. So now what? We're the 5th team and we just got a tie. So I'm just saying down the road, this could hurt. I think El Salvador is probably or is the weakest team in this group. And we needed 3 because other people are going to get 3 at El Salvador. I'm just telling you that will happen. So bit disappointing. We did get to see a lot of rolled on action. If you're into that kind of thing, I know some people are into that kind of thing, but I think that's gross. All right. But we might not have the better rolled on. The more I think about it after this game, I thought, geez, that other rolled on looks pretty good. He played a really good game.
At left back.
I know. Exactly. Because they don't really have one. And the thing is that, you got to give El Salvador credit. They did play really well.
Mm-hmm.
They played as good as they could play.
Yes.
And if we could have played as good as we could have played, we should have won. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, even a fraction of what we could possibly, or potential. Again, if we did, even if we just came out and played well, we completed our passes, we made better decisions, and we came out at a 0-0 draw. At least then I could be like, okay, it wasn't for us this game. But this was a really shoddy game as a whole. It was ugly. Nobody connected passes. Nobody connected anything. They weren't on the same page. And yet we still had chances. So I'm just stating that, again, this should have been a game we got 3 on the road. Should have been.
Then you had, Edu during the game saying, "Hey, some people thought this was gonna be a cakewalk." Well, those people are stupid. No one said it was going to be a cakewalk. It's not going to be a cakewalk.
Well, yeah.
People who thought it was going to be a cakewalk are dumb. That doesn't matter. Our talent level trumps the cake. We needed 3, and we should have trumped the cake.
That's a hyperbole argument right there, in all honesty, because
just
because you, me, and Filippo, I'm using us as an example because we just had a conversation a handful of days ago and we talked about these upcoming games. But in a lot of fans, we expected to go in and win. That doesn't mean that we expected to be a cakewalk.
No,
We expected to be grimy. It's CONCACAF. It's physical
gonna be a
altercation.
grind.
The
Yeah.
refs are going to let a lot of shit play, and they're going to call a lot of stupid fouls in the end as well. Because they let some shit roll and they don't let some shit roll in the end. I don't understand how it really works out, but they have their own mindset on it.
Nobody rational thought this was going to be a cakewalk.
But we did expect to win, though. That's the difference.
Yes,
It's a big difference.
1-0 win would have been fine. 1-0. I'm not asking for 3-0. I would have taken it, but 1-0 works on the road with this level of talent in El Salvador. It just does. It's
just the most frustrating thing to have to deal with because we come out and we're like, oh, we expect 7 to 9 points. And then all of a sudden people are coming out like, oh, playing on the road is going to be, well, of course it's going to be difficult.
We've been watching this shit for 20 years. We got it. We know how hard it is.
But we have the talent. We have the players. We have everything to go out there and take the game. And you know what? For the first 5 to 9 to 10 minutes area,
9.
We took it.
We were.
And I thought, holy shit, we're taking it to them. This is a first, and we're gonna score a goal here. And then all of a sudden, the next 20 minutes, El Salvador took it, and then it was just all the way down the road.
From the 10th minute to the 18th minute, our tits fell off. I swear to God, we could do nothing. We were broken. They were all of a sudden kind of calling the shots. And I was like, what? This has been 10 minutes almost of this shit. When are we going to fucking wake up?
Wake the fuck up.
Wake up. Jesus Christ, guys. Let's do it. But no, it was spazzy. All of it was spazzy. That's my word of the day. It was fucking spazzy. Too much spasticity. Everybody needed to smoke some weed before this game and calm the fuck down. But I liked some of the spazziness, but a lot of it I thought was just spazziness. So that's where we're at this game. And so the cakewalk thing, fuck that. Probably we already talked about the roll on shit. I mean, players that stood out. I mean, no one really stood out. Maybe Adams.
But yes, I was gonna bring up Adams. And you know what? Adams made some bad decisions. He made some bad passes, but you know what? He tried to control that midfield, and he did great covering in the defense. So I've got to give Adams props on that.
Yeah, I have to say that Ream didn't turn out to be anywhere near the liability everybody thought he was going to be. He did well. And just thinking of general things, I thought McKenny was just all over the goddamn field, which I love. But again,
it was good and bad though, because
it was
I feel like the majority of his game resulted in either a foul or a bad pass or just not. It wasn't clean. It wasn't crisp. It's not what we expected, and we'll get into that later. But
I felt like Brett, we were playing on a ping pong table. It was so congested. Mm-hmm. I really did. Like, we made no space for ourselves. Wherever the ball was, there was a clusterfuck of motherfuckers. And then other times when we had the ball in the back, people wouldn't get open. They'd just stand around. You're like, I don't know. I was like, what's going on? Ream's like going, hey, I got the ball. Is anyone going to move to get open for this pass?
Yes, and quite frankly, unfortunately, a lot of the balls that Ream and Robinson had to play out the back were going to be long balls because nobody was fucking moving. The off the ball movement I mentioned earlier, not happening. So what ended up happening is they do these long balls, and all of a sudden we get dispossessed. And I'm like, well, that's a ding on them, unfortunately, because they're unfortunately forced to do that, and it didn't ever work.
Yeah.
So it sucked. It was sloppy. And it sucked.
They meant to make it a mess, and we allowed them to make it a mess. Mm-hmm. And we didn't play well enough to not make it a mess. So a mess it was. And okay, for those of you who are happy with the 1 point, fine. That's good too. I mean, it's better than losing. All right.
Historically speaking, points on the road, good for qualifying. But again, to your point, teams are going to go there and they're going to get more points. Some will.
I think so.
And you know what? I don't care what Alex Rodon says. they're going to lose at some point
Yes.
at home. It's going to happen.
It is going to happen. And I mean, I don't know what's a worse team than them in this octagon. There isn't.
Mhm.
This is where people are going to go away to get points, not just 1, 3. And we don't want to drop behind. Although Canada ended up with a tie today at home.
Everybody ended up with a tie except for Mexico. So it's Mexico in first, and everybody is tied for last.
So they ended up beating Jamaica.
2-1. Yep.
I missed the very end of that game. Man, they must have scraped that out at the end. Because it was 1-1. I think it 1-1 at like 70-something minute when I looked, I thought. But
they scored in the 89th minute.
89th. No shit. Okay, I stopped watching.
I was kind of hoping that was going to be the result of the USA game, in all honesty. We were going to get a goal at the last second. That would have been great.
But that was at Jamaica, right? Was it at Jamaica?
No, it looks like it's at Mexico. No, it's at Mexico.
At Mexico. Okay,
Yeah.
So start here. So, wow, they barely pulled off a 2-1 win versus Jamaica
Weird.
at home.
Yeah.
At home.
It would have been crazy if Jamaica held on to that tie in Azteca. How fucking crazy would that have been?
And this is after all the players that weren't allowed to go because of some dumb shit fucking regulation in England. They couldn't get some of their best players to come play, and they still pushed Mexico to the brink. It's all good news for us, but it would have been better if it stayed 1-1.
That would have been really fucking weird to come into the first match of the qualifiers and everybody's tied with 1 point.
That would be funny. I don't know if that's ever happened before.
I don't think so. I'm looking at these games and I'm just like, well, whew. And it's anybody's qualifier now, guys.
Yeah, 1-1. What? Everybody's played one game, has 1 point.
I guess good for Honduras, Costa Rica, and USA for getting the 1 point on the road.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not as happy as everybody else. I thought you would be more happy, but you're not either.
I'm not half. I'm like the glass is half filled. It's not half full. It's not half empty. Yes, again, I stress the point on the road. Okay, historically speaking, good. Mind you, everybody got a point on the road. It seems like, but this is a game we should have won. We should have, I'm not saying that because Honduras, El Salvador is shit or anything like that, or whatever. We played on a goat patch or whatever. But again, on paper, on the field, we had the better team. We played like shit. El Salvador took it to us, held us up to a draw. I don't know who to chalk that up as a victory for, in all honesty.
For them,
it is what it is, and we can move on to Canada and Honduras, and hopefully we have a better performance and maybe the introduction of Pulisic and Brooks. That's about it, I guess.
Although again,
it makes a change of some form, you know.
Yeah. Then again, I just want to emphasize Ream was not the weak point tonight.
He wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't.
No.
Not at all. I thought it was going to be, but not at all.
No, he wasn't. So we're going to move on to segment 2, where we're going to do player ratings for this game, which are going to be really hard to do.
It's going to be tough.
Oh man, it's going to be a bitch. But until the next time on the Straight Red Card, we'll see you for the next show.